Bada boom, bada boom. Hello, everybody.
Oh,
We got
yay!
Fewo in the house. A crown for a king. Sick.
Oh,
So,
Eric is in the chat. Oh yeah.
what up, Eric? How you doing? Sick. Cool. I'm gonna retweet this real quick. Feel free to do the same as we get some people jumping in, though I'm sure there's already a lot of viewers happening right now. So, Fewo, big weekend you had.
Yes, sir.
Big week last week on SuperRare as well.
Yeah. Freaking
How's it
crazy.
feel? How's it feel?
My heart, like, I'm so grateful, and I feel like I put out all these videos and tweets, and it's like nothing encapsulates how I actually feel because this is nuts. It was so I don't even realizing your dreams are coming true and that you can just follow your heart is weird because my whole life it's been like you can't do that, no way. And to kind of look and be like, whoa, I started this all by myself, and these strangers who have come to know these past few days, like we become friends, like you and me. I didn't know you, but we became friends, and we've built this whole like collab thing we're doing and working together just with art, and so much is happening. So every day I'm like, what the heck? Like I feel like this is I feel like it's not allowed, but it's allowed.
Like you feel like
So,
you're breaking the rules somehow. But
yeah,
I mean, you're breaking like the norms of society's rules and stuff. So in a sense, like I understand why you feel it's not allowed. I think, people in society telling you you can't do that your whole life, and now you're doing it. It's like an act of defiance in the most beautiful way.
yeah, that's crazy. This is crazy. Like it's so crazy that we're talking right now and people want to listen.
It is
And it's like,
crazy.
who am I wearing this silly crown? Like what? Like I don't know. Or it's especially weird because in school I didn't really have friends. I would just sit and draw. So I have friends now, and it's so fun to talk all the time. And so I'm grateful. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, it's great having people out there, just through the internet that we connect with that I'm like, oh, you're like me. You're like
Yeah.
one of us. One of us. One of us. Yeah. It's the beautiful part about the internet, I think, and why I feel so lucky to grow up in an age with the internet is because like I was able to find my people through the internet who, like you lived in Vegas, Jonathan Wolf lives in Canada, Odious lives in the UK, supposedly.
Right.
And like, yeah, it's just never been possible before. But here we are having a grand old time, laughing it up, talking to people who are all around the world right now. I bet we got people watching this from 50 different countries.
That's
Maybe.
weird. That's so
It's weird to
cool.
think about, huh?
Yeah. Whoa.
Yep. All right, so take it back a year ago and one day. What was going on?
a year ago and one day, didn't plan this. Shane Copeland, the guy who bought my first painting, he liked a tweet of mine. And I was like, what is he liking? And I clicked on it and it said February 15th, 2020, a year ago. And it's a tweet of me being like, oh my God, I sold my first painting. $90. Ah! And I'm so excited, over the moon. I'm like, ooh wee, I can afford new paint. Ooh wee, like best mood. And I had no idea what would happen. I didn't even know what an NFT was. No, never seen it. Didn't even know about crypto. A month later, Shane, he bought that painting. Month later, I get an email from him and he's like, "Oh my God, your painting is so gorgeous. I have it in my house. I love looking at it. I love it so much. I noticed on the back of the painting, you put a certificate of authenticity. Oh, you care about authenticity. I also care about it. And I've been collecting NFTs. I would like to collect more of your art, but right now I'm into NFTs. So I want to buy some of yours." And I was like, hold on. what? What's happening? What's an NFT? He explained it, told me everything, showed me all the platforms, showed me his collection, and said, hey, get into it. I still would love to buy your physicals, but if you get into it, I think it would be really cool, and I think it's the future. Do with that information what you will. And I said, okay. And then I Googled SuperRare. I was reading all this stuff, watched hella YouTube videos, and just absorbed as much knowledge as I could. And I said, is this real? How is this real? And it wasn't until I went to Discord and saw the Twitter community, I said, oh, this is bumping. Like, there's all these people here. I want to be part of this. I want to see what this is.
Yeah.
And so I applied to SuperRare. And it's crazy because now it's really hard. Like, there's so many people. But when I applied, I got in pretty fast. And it was just like our little thing. And it's so cool to watch it grow. And
when did you apply to SuperRare? When did you get in? Was that like last March, February?
I think like March, because I remember I'm still in high school right now, but like in high school just shut down because of COVID.
Right.
And that was when I was having this weird internal debate, like, what do I do? Like, I want to make this art, but I'd be at school all day, and it was just frustrating. And I would tell kids about it, and they'd be like, what? And then school shut down, and then soon after that, I sold my first piece.
Hell yeah. So I guess taking it back to something you said a little bit earlier in that conversation, what prompted you to send out that certificate of authenticity? Because I've gotten real paintings from my friends before, and no one's ever done that. And, you know, I've sold prints before. I guess you don't really send out a certificate of authenticity with a print, but it's just something that, like, before NFTs, never really thought about that much. I thought that would be something that, like, galleries do with, like, traditional artists that already have, like, this big market. So, like, what prompted you to be like, I'm going to send this out with all of my paintings? Because I think that's unique.
I want it to be official. Like, yeah. I didn't, all my clothing drops, everything I did, the printer I used to print out the certificate of authenticity, it was me doing commissions, putting all the money I made back into the ink, back into everything.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make sure everything I did looked so official. And I wanted someone to not know that I was this kid in my bedroom,
right,
doing everything by myself. Like, I bought a paper trimmer and I was like, spent hours aligning all the cards that I would print. I didn't want anyone to even know. I didn't want you to have a clue besides me saying I'm in my room. Right, but I wanted you to look at something I did and be like, oh, did you like have someone help you? And it's just like me making it.
That's like your entrepreneurial mind state that I think is a big factor of your success. Is you have, like, you know, working with you over the past few months, you definitely have this like drive for, and I think all artists do to a certain extent, drive for perfection, but you definitely have it to like this next level where it's where it's just like you don't settle, you know. I've never seen you settle on any idea or anything before. Like, even if it's great and you show me something, you're like, blah blah blah, this is what I'm working on. I'm like, whoa. You're like, does it suck?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't suck. Are you kidding me? But you know, I think that is one of, you know, that mind state and that drive that you have is one of the reasons why you found so much success so early. Because a lot of people do settle, and Fewo is an example of why not to settle.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you help. Like, sometimes I'll have a project and I'm like, is this really bad? And I'll like freak out to you about it. Like, I haven't slept for 3 days. And you're like, no, this part is really good. And I don't know. I think sometimes it drives me a little bit crazy, but overall, really important.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could see how it drives you crazy, and you should sleep more than.
I know today you're like, did you sleep? And I said, mind your business.
We've been busy lately. We've been working.
Yeah.
Things to do, people to talk to. streams to appear on. All right, so you know Shane basically gave you the secret NFT knowledge early before it was really catching on. How did
Mhm.
Shane find your work? Was it just through Twitter, like organically
No, I
retweets from
literally
someone?
don't know.
Yeah,
He
it was
he'll
just,
tell
it was
he told me, "I'll tell you one day," and I'm like, I don't. Okay.
just...
So I'll find out.
Oh my word! Something to look forward to, I guess.
Yeah.
That mystery. That's really cool. So when did you first start feeling like, all right, this is something, it's working, like the sparks are starting to fly a little bit on this career path I'm going down? What was that first moment for you?
The first moment.
Yeah.
I mean, when I got my first bid, I don't know what the first bid was, but when it was like point one or whatever, the first bid I got, I was over the moon. I was like, oh my god, oh my god, like someone cares about art I made just from my heart, to express myself. This is nuts. So I think that was the first moment, or just seeing other people's success in the space. I said, "Oh, this is real. Like
Right.
this is something. Oh my god." Um, I think the biggest moment is when Trevor Jones sold Picasso's bull for 55,000. That was like the talk of the town. That
I
was
remember.
the moment.
It
And when I
was.
saw that, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like this is real. Like this
Like
is
it's
crazy.
possible. Right.
And I don't know. Just seeing that and seeing what other people can do, I said, "Oh, like I can do that." Not in a bad way, but just like, "Oh, like this is happening. We're part of
Mhm.
this crazy art like revolution thing going on, and no one knows about it really." And so, just seeing other people.
Yeah, it's sure been a crazy, I guess, past year for you, past 6 months for me. It was like a week or two, I think, after I joined SuperRare and NFTs and all that, that Picasso's bull sold. And I remember that being the buzz. And yeah, just seeing that and being like, wow, like this is a real thing that like I was like, wow, like Trevor can now like live off of it. I mean, look at him now. But yeah, it was like, I don't know, like my grandma was an artist, my grandpa was an artist since like the 40s, you know, which is so long ago now. And she's been working so long, and you know, it's crazy. This is like the first time in such a long time, like generations probably, that like there's this opportunity for like us to like pay bills and eat and like do more even than that with our creative energy and with our art. And it's wild. It's wild to see.
It's
So
so
wild to
wild.
see. Feels like a dream. It feels surreal, doesn't it?
All the time. I'll sit and really think about it. I feel like I'm in these clubhouses and all this stuff, and we're talking about it, and I'm really excited. But then after you leave the clubhouse or after this call ends, there's like this moment where you kind of sit and you're like, wait, this is my life. Like, wait, what this is happening. Like, oh, like, oh my God. So yeah, it's very surreal.
Yeah, sure is. All right, let's talk about you moving up to Seattle because I got some knowledge on that.
Yes, you do.
So, what? Yeah, I guess first of all, what was it like moving out? I mean, I moved out of my house when I was 18 as well, but it was to go to college. So I think that's a little bit more of a traditional like uh, path where like I was going to college with a bunch of other kids who were going to college for like their first time leaving their house, and it wasn't so like I don't know, you know, it felt very traditional. So what was it like for you, and how did you make that decision of moving to Seattle for one, and just being like, this is what I need to do right now?
It was really hard. It was really hard because in December I had my meme drop, Super was doing all this stuff was happening, and I was getting these opportunities. And it was really hard for me to take on work when I was like, I know I'm going to move, but I didn't want to talk about it. Or even through Twitter, I didn't really want to tweet about it because I said, what if my family sees my Twitter and
Right.
they know that I'm going to move? So I couldn't be like, hey, I'm moving. So it was this weird secret thing that I had. And I knew I wanted to move out as soon as I turned 18.
Hmm.
My family's been really abusive and I had to deal with all kinds of stuff. One thing is just them not supporting my art and yelling at me about it. When I have these successes, they didn't care. And not only, it wasn't like they were indifferent, where they were just like, okay. It was like, that's what are you doing? No matter what I did, they would find a way to insult me or just tell me, oh, nobody cares. Like, oh, you think you're special that they care right now? Tomorrow they won't care. The next day they won't care. And so hearing that all the time hurt. It hurt really bad.
Yeah.
I couldn't have my door closed. It was always open. So if I was working on something and they saw my monitor, um, they'd be like, "What is that? That's ugly. I don't like it. You should do it like this instead. Why does everyone even buy that?" Or even my videos, making those videos was hard because like I know I'm so happy and excited, but they would hear me like talking about me being excited and then I would leave my room to go get water downstairs and they'd be like, "Oh, are you so excited about whatever?" Or like, "Who even watches that?" And so
I know.
so all of this stuff built up and there's tons of other nonsense crazy, but
Hmm.
that was one thing. And when I turned 17, I made a plan. I said, when I turn 18, I'm going to bust my butt and work as hard as I can this year and do whatever I can to move out. And I was just selling prints, putting out stickers, doing all this stuff. And I wasn't really making that much money. And then I found the NFT space. And I just love the space because of the community and what it represents for artists. The royalties is huge.
Right.
There's so much about it that I
Yeah.
just fell in love with. I didn't know that like I'd be like the third person for the $1 million. Like I didn't know. I didn't know
Yeah.
all of this.
Yeah.
Like
That wasn't
like
part of the plan.
no. For me it was like, yeah, artists, like this is so cool.
Yeah.
And so when I made my first sale, I was like, "Oh my god, I can move out." Like, "Oh my god, I can afford it." And not only can I afford it, I can just make art and be myself. And I have that like someone yelling in my ear all the time. Um, so when I turned 18, I didn't move immediately because I had my Nifty drop on my birthday. so so I had to like wait to move.
Yeah.
Which
At
I'm
least
so
like a day or
thankful.
two later.
Eric is still here. Thank you so much. Like it is so much more than just like I feel like people see like, "Oh, crazy number. You're 18 and you sold for this much." Like for me, it's like you're changing my life. Like
It's freedom.
it's freedom. And it's a big symbolism of like F you to my family and everyone who was so mean to me.
Everyone that told you no.
Yeah. And I don't know. Anyway, so I moved and it was really hard because my family they didn't really want to help me at all. My grandpa was like a little bit supportive. I live with my grandparents, and my grandma was just like, "Oh, you're moving," and in front of my face, went to my room and started throwing all my stuff in trash bags, and was just like, "Okay, like I don't care, bye," and was just throwing everything away. And I was like, "Well, I made the right call," and
Right.
I left, and you offered to pick me up from the airport, and I saw you, and we were just chatting in the car, and I was just like, this feels right. Like, oh my God, you can talk to someone and it's not terrible all the time. Or, oh my God, you can have a friend and then you and your girlfriend Lauren, I'm gonna start crying. Oh my God. You and your girlfriend Lauren like took me to the store and helped me buy like salt and butter and I couldn't buy a mattress because I still had my little student card because I just turned 18. So Lauren bought the mattress for me, and y'all helped me get things. I had to buy paints, and I couldn't buy it with my card, so y'all bought it for me, and all this stuff that like I don't even know what I would do, like if I was just on my own. So one, I'm so grateful for you, and two, like uh, moving out was crazy. I'm so happy I moved, and thank you everyone watching for supporting me because my life has truly changed, like for the better.
Yeah, yeah. It's that's such a crazy story, man. It's like literally feels like it's out of like a novel or a movie or something like that. It's like such dramatic like lows and highs that have happened in your life, I feel like.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh man, what a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
I'm so glad you're out of that situation. And I say this all the time, but you're like the best person for this to happen to because you're so generous and so you're like the opposite of a gatekeeper. And I think it's such a refreshing energy to have in any creative space. You know, I've been in the music industry for a while and experienced so many gatekeepers, you know, trying to block my creativity. I remember being 16, 17, 18 and making music, and that was my thing. And just like sending stuff to record labels, sending stuff to festivals to play festivals, and just getting told no so many times, and that like breaks your soul down over like the course of years and years of that happening because you're trying your hardest and you're putting like everything into it. And I'm like living vicariously through you of being like 18, 17, 18 and just like finding that ride of success because I think that's like what kind of attributes me and my buddy Tor were talking the other night about how like you know after like 10 years of just trying to do something creatively and failing and failing and failing, like you start getting jaded in a sense. And I think you've been able to bypass that, and that's why you're such like a staple of this community and always helping out other artists, always like showing love to everybody. And it's just a really beautiful thing to see. I'm super grateful for you and
Oh
thank you for
man,
being you.
dude, thank you for being you. It's it's so cool what we have in the community, and just you and me. Like you come to my house and we work on a 3D printer, or we'll just sit and watch silly YouTube videos and talk about art and life. And it's so cool that in this space and in this world, like when I was a little kid, I was like, oh, like I'm gonna be alone forever. And so to find my people and to find people who connect with my art, it's like, oh, you see me? You see like my feelings and what I'm thinking? It it means a lot. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a sure wild time to be alive out here in this crypto space and NFT space and digital art space and Twitter and all. It's like the perfect storm of variables that I think are happening right now. And just in the past, you know, like it's crazy to see how far the space has come in the past 6 months, 7 months. You know, you've been in it longer than me, but it's been crazy to watch. You know, like I didn't think that Gary Vee and Mark Cuban and Lindsay Lohan and like these like household name celebrities would be talking about NFTs like 6 months
Oh my
later.
god. You know what made me I almost pooped my pants. Gary Vee DM'd me and he said,
What?
yeah, oh my god. He DM'd me and he said like keep going and all this nice stuff.
Wow.
And I almost pooped my pants because when I was like 12, I would watch his videos. Him and Casey Neistat, like they were my guys. Like I would have their videos playing. And he has this one video where this girl is like sad and she's like, I don't know what to do. And he just says, you gotta bust your butt and go do it. Go for it. And that video was like check this little mark in my brain. So for him to find me like when I didn't even bother him, like he just found me somehow, I was
Yeah.
like, This is so crazy.
That's definitely crazy. I think
Yeah.
anyone would say Gary V DMing you is pretty freaking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the internet's sure a magical place. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just yeah. So I keep saying this. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. I always think about like, whoa. I think about all the old art legends, and I'm like, what would they do if they were alive right now? Like, how would they use this technology? How can I think outside the box like them? And I'm just always in my head, like, what can we do to push this more?
Yeah,
And
you sure are.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any fear or worry that you're gonna like one stop making art or like quit the space and go retire somewhere or two like fall off, you know, like and not continue pushing yourself because it goes back to what I was saying earlier with that like not settling that drive where you know we've had plenty of talks but you just like you're like how can I change the world, how can I change art itself, which you've already done, you know, like you already have changed art history, I think, you know, and you're gonna definitely be in history books, art history books, maybe history books. We've got to give it another few
Wait, you're
years,
gonna make me cry. I feel the tears coming.
but
I'm so excited. We have a trip in April where we're just gonna hide for a week in this house, and we're like, we're gonna bring our computers and paint and all this stuff, and we're just gonna sit and scheme on like new things we can come up with. I'm really looking forward to that.
the China Mountain House is what it's called. Oh,
Yes.
did I just dox where we're gonna stay at?
Great.
No visitors. Yeah, we're gonna scheme and try to figure out what's next. What can we do to push art in this space as much as possible? Because I think that's what's important right now. Is like this is a crazy period, like I've been saying, but it's also a transitional period in the sense of like art. This is gonna not just change art, like artists' lives, but it's gonna change the art, and already has been changing the art that's coming out now. You
Yeah.
know, look at async, look at some of these cool nifty drops, look at super all this stuff, and it's like it's starting to change how artists perceive their art. It's no longer like how can I feed this algorithm, how can I get this like dopamine release in my brain from Instagram likes and follows, and this like such a fast paced, you know, like consumery art world that was going on,
Yeah.
and now like people are like taking a step back and like all these digital artists to like I felt like I did feel like an artist before this, but I also felt like a tool for brands or musicians or this. I'd have to put myself in these cookie cutter spots to be able to feel like I could make a living at it. And now that those cookie cutters are removed, it's like what can we do now? It's anything like
Yeah.
like literally anything,
I
and
mean, my art has improved significantly just because before I was every day new piece and trying to do something crazy like, oh, how can I get this many likes? How can I get as many people to see my art so they can buy my prints so I can afford to
yeah,
move out?
yeah.
But now it's like, okay, I can spend a month learning and practicing and trying new things and really articulate what I want to say. So it's just really cool to see that for me. And I'm sure with so many people, like they finally have the means to just spend time on one thing.
Yeah, it's something that's never happened before for most people,
Yeah.
and it seems like it's such a like the playing field's been leveled now to where like people can just create. And yes, I'm sorry, my cat got stuck in the bathroom, he's crying.
It's okay. No worries. In this break, Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching the stream. I'm Fewo. I'm not your host, but I'm here.
Okay.
Is that Ivan?
It's Ivan.
Shout outs to homie Ivan.
He always like walks in the bathroom right here. I don't know why, because every single time he gets stuck because the door closes behind him and then he just starts crying. Like at least twice a day, dude. Oh man. All right. Well, I've gone through most of my questions I prepared, so now we're just spitballing.
Oh, we're spitballing now?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to ask you a question? I don't have a question.
No, I'm interviewing you.
Oh, okay.
No questions, please. We go through some of the comments though, and yeah, there we go. SuperRare questions from the community. Let's see. I'm going reverse chronological order right now. Ox TJ and Paradism, can you please pick up your music again and drop some NFTs? For sure. I'm waiting for the right moment. I still work on music, not as much as I used to because this is the art stuff's been doing so much. But yes, music in the works for sure. Odious says, "Who's cutting onions?"
Hi, Odious.
Hi, Odious.
Thank you for watching.
Great to hear. Do you plan to keep studying or focus 100% in creating these next years?
I want to take time to study for sure. After these past few drops, I'm like, I guess it's time that I can invest in some art books.
Nice.
And so I just want to sit and really learn, especially with VR. VR is nuts, and there's so much untapped that I'll join a clubhouse and I'll hear someone talking about crazy, like, what if you did this? And they say like stuff I've never comprehended. So I want to get on that wavelength where I can think of things that would blow my mind right now.
Yeah.
And just mess around. AR is this whole other world, so much to learn.
Yeah, AR and VR is definitely, I think, as the technology progresses and it becomes more of like a household things, like, you know, maybe like PlayStations and Xboxes are right now. Once the technology kind of bridges with the mainstream culture, I think we'll see a lot of really cool artistic experiences. I mean, it's already out there. I know Android Jones has a really cool VR art experience. Messed around a little bit with Adobe Medium, Quill. There's some really cool art and artists doing stuff. Giant Swan does some really cool VR stuff, among others. Very cool. I'd love to see what you could do in VR though. I feel like your style would translate really well into VR and AR, all the above.
Yeah, like imagine a painting. Like I've been painting, and to see a painting I did, and then like you put your phone or whatever, and then it starts moving. I feel like that would be so cool. But I want to go beyond that. Just don't know how yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So but you don't plan to like go to art school or university after this. It's mostly gonna be self-taught, you think?
I don't know. That's a whole I don't know.
Fair enough.
Maybe not right now. Maybe in a year or 2 years if I wanted to. It's this whole I don't know. I just want to learn certain things.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to write an essay.
Yeah.
Like that's my whole thing. I'm not trying to write an essay. I want to learn certain things, but I don't want to write an essay about something that I don't want to write about.
Yeah, for sure. I think I think college and schools, while it's great to learn from people in a traditional environment, I think sometimes the internet is at such a place right now where like you can really teach yourself how you like to learn things. Whatever kind of specific knowledge that you want, that you're interested in. I don't know if school is, I dropped out of college to focus on creative stuff. I feel like it was a waste of time for me, a waste of money for me, a waste of energy. I made a lot of poor decisions in college. And it probably would have been better if I never went, but it's a learning experience. I guess I'm glad I went, but and to each their own. I don't want to tell kids to not stay in school. That's very irresponsible of me. But yeah, I think with the internet right now, there's so much information out there that you can really just pick and choose what interests you. And I know, at least for me personally, I like the reason I didn't do well in traditional school is because I get like hyper focused on things. Probably a part of my ADD or something, where like if it's something I'm not interested in, it's like the most boring, slow, uninteresting experience of like learning something. But if it's something I am interested in, it's like the opposite. It's like this over passionate, almost borderline obsessive, like learning style I have, where I'll just like watch tutorials at 2 times speed on 4 monitors and just like work for like 16 hours straight on something.
Oh, that was me with Rush.
Yeah.
Oh, it was crazy. I love that.
Let's see. We got some more questions. Itu Kudu says, "How do you focus the art in your mind to be clear enough to complete? Mine almost feel cloudy."
I feel like when I feel like that, I have to force myself to keep going, and eventually there's this barrier that breaks. But I feel like it's not a clear like break. It's like this thing that gradually happens until suddenly you realize like, oh wait, it's been an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But all the time, like if I'm tired or whatever, I'm like, I need to finish this because either a deadline or because I want to. I want to get something done. Why have I been sitting for 2 days and I haven't done anything?
Yeah.
So I'll sit and force myself to draw something. It's like, how do I feel? Okay, sit, and I cannot give up. I have to finish this. And I feel like somewhere in there, it something changes. But that's just how it works for me. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. It's a good answer. Sharam Bey asks, "Do you think your art would be as impactful without the darker times you had to battle through?"
Honestly, I don't know. Some people had a fine childhood and they're fine, but and their art is super amazing. Um, Maybe this is my way of coping with everything that happened to me. But although everything that sucked in my life happened, and I'm sad about it, and it's kind of cool too with NFTs. I can afford therapy now, so I have therapy now.
Yes.
But
Congratulations on that.
thank you.
It's very
But
responsible of you.
something about all that taught me that I can only rely on myself. I couldn't rely on my parents. I couldn't rely on my grandparents. I couldn't rely on anyone in my family. They're
Right.
all addicted to drugs or doing something. And if I needed food, they were sleeping or they were at the hospital, like doing something bananas.
Sure.
And I had to be like, okay, well, I have to make the food for myself, or oh, I have to go to school by myself. Oh, I have to do this by myself. I don't know how to do this math problem. I have no one to ask. I'll do it myself. So all that bad stuff taught me if I want something, I have to make it happen. I can't just wait for someone to give me a hand. Like, okay, go out there, work as hard as you can. If you can't force it, I'm gonna make it dang good. Where you look at it like, oh, I guess you're the one. So yeah, I do think my darkest times helped me become stronger.
Yeah, I've definitely also learned more from my losses and my struggles than I think I have from my successes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Not that like that. I think some people like I do not think you have to have a dark past or have to have had really or be unhappy or any of this stuff to be a good and effective and relatable artist. I don't think that's
Mm-hmm.
necessary. Like, don't self-sabotage to make good art. I don't think that's ever a good decision. And that can be romanticized in culture sometimes,
Yeah.
where you see rock stars, strung out on all these drugs and making really poor decisions, and the excuses that's why their music was so good, or that's why their writing was so good, that's why their art was so good. I think pop culture kind of romanticizes that idea a little bit, and it like I think it's worth being said, like, don't go out there and like
Yeah.
fuck up your life and light your life on
Yeah.
fire to like for the sake of art. Um yeah, but at the same time it's like you can see that emotion in your art, and where it's like, you know, it like I look at your art and I can feel everything that went into it. And I do think that's part of the reason why people connect, because it's so emotional in that sense. Eric Young says, Parrott, having seen Fewo work up close and personal, what artistic skill do you think separates Fewo from other artists? That's a good question. I think it's a multitude of things from things I've seen. Like, I think you have an unapologetic style, if that makes sense, where like you're not trying to make anything other than what comes out of your heart. And I don't know if that's an artistic skill or if that's just like something that you just do naturally. I don't know how to categorize that, but that's what I think about your art is, and why people like it and why people connect with it. You know, linking back with the conversation we just had 2 minutes ago, is people see your art, and it's not about the technical skill. Sure, you are a very technically, you know, proficient painter, but it's about art. Like, technical skills can be learned, and that's not what art's about. It's not about studying a certain method. It can be, you know, people have different goals, but I think in this situation, what your art does is people connect with it. It's like a stamp of your personality and your mind state and your feelings all put onto a canvas. And I think throughout history, that's been the most effective art, is that it's art that people see and they can connect with immediately just by looking at it. I don't know if there's a way to put that in words, but you got it.
Thank you. Wow. I'm like teary-eyed right now. Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah. That's what I think. Justin Totemical says, your story, work, and energy is so inspiring. Any tips for maintaining that positivity and focus? What up, Justin?
Hi, Justin. Cool. When I was little and really awkward in school, and when people would talk to me, I would be so awkward that I don't know what was wrong with me. Just nothing would come out of my mouth. I would just be like, like if someone even just said hi, I'd be like I don't know how to talk to you. And there was always some kid in class that didn't care how awkward I was, because there was times where some kids would be like, oh, you're awkward, and say that to my face, and it would hurt. but there was always like a kid every year that didn't care, that was just like, I'm gonna break it out of you and be so sweet to you. And I love people like that. I love people who make you feel like happy. And I've dealt with so much trash and bad family members like doing terrible things to me. I've dealt with all that. And when I went to court, like about abuse and stuff, I saw all these other kids in the homes I was at. And I saw all these kids that had stories like mine or different than mine. And or some kids were in my school and I had no idea what they were going through. And at 12, it gave me this realization like, oh, like we're going through something. Everyone has their something. And I don't know what it is. And you don't got to tell me. That's not my business. That's your business. But I know there's something because I have my stuff. So if I can make today a little bit better, or be like that lady at IHOP that's really nice to you and you're like, that was so nice, I want to be that person and try my best. So to me, positivity is just, I hate that I went through that and I don't want you to feel like that, even if it's for a second, that I can give to you. And yeah, and as far as focus, it's just art is what I love. and it's just my thing. There's nothing else that I like. I like art. I love art. It's my passion. It's my love. I will never stop making art because I have to. Pretend all of this went away, everything crashed, and no one wants to buy my art. I don't care. Like, I'm still gonna make art because I have to. There's been like when I was moving and I didn't make art for a week, I felt crazy. I was like, I need to express myself. So I would draw on a napkin or I would draw on something just because it's my it's the only way I was ever allowed to express myself because I couldn't go to my mom or I couldn't go to anyone. So that's my friend. Art is my best friend. Genuinely.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Yeah, I think struggle and hardship does two things to people. It either like makes them repeat that pattern to where they become bitter towards the world and other people, and they don't have a good way of like working with that hurt and making something beautiful out of it. I think art, music, creativity is a form of alchemy of turning this inert material, this worthless stuff into gold. It's turning that like all that pain that you went through, like you're alchemizing it into something beautiful. And I think that's why people connect with your art. But everyone has that ability. I think like I don't like giving up on people. I've met some bitter people out there that have gone through some like really horrible stuff, worse stuff than I could imagine, and I think that's the biggest lesson to learn from watching your story, is that like you are so good at that of like you're like, I went through this stuff, but I know other people are going through all this stuff too. It's not this egocentric like, oh, poor me. Like it's really beautiful that you're able to maintain that sense of positivity and be like, and that empathy of being like, I know other people are struggling in the world, that they don't have their parents telling them you're going to do great, or they don't have best friends out there. They might be alone at school, and you being able to like spread that positivity, and just it's so cool. You're a perfect example of someone really alchemizing that into gold, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Daniel Taylor says, do you have any other creative outlets, like playing an instrument, for example? P.S. Love both of your work. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel. I don't. No, I'm so bad at music. I want to learn. I was talking to you in the car the other day. I said, dude, I want to learn music. And you said, okay, we can make that happen. And I said,
Yeah.
So, no, I just paint and do digital art and mess around in VR. I would say my other creative outlet, maybe it's not, but just the more tedious parts, like when I use After Effects to animate stuff moving,
Mm-hmm.
to me it's like a different outlet because it's not lines, it's movement.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as someone who does mostly like 3D art myself and electronic music, it's a lot of like working with programs, and then like when I paint or I draw, it's a very different workflow. I feel like it exercises a little bit different part of my brain.
Yeah.
Like even when we were just editing that promo video the other night, like we got in that flow state and we were like, how is this gonna happen? And then like 6 hours go by, suddenly it's 5 a.m. in the morning. We have like a minute of content. Like it was all, like it you can tap into those flow states through different things. And I think editing videos or like animating stuff, ZBrush, all that kind of stuff, it's like a little bit different than painting, or than even painting on an iPad is a little bit different than painting in real life. And like all these different things, I think, exercise different parts of your brain. Will definitely make music happen. I mean, you're still so young to where like I remember being 18 and I was like, I want to learn how to play guitar. I still have this dream of like just being able to like absolutely shred a guitar. Like I get so inspired seeing people like just rip it up. And I remember being 18 and looking at like some other kids my age who could do that. And I was like, damn, I should have like done this when I was 12. I'd be so good by now. And then here I am at 24, still don't know how to shred a guitar that well. And I'm like, damn, I should have started doing that when I was 18. I'd be so good by now.
Yeah.
So so like you definitely still have so much opportunity to pick up all these different things. I think you'd be really good at music. I mean, I didn't start, really doing art until I think I was 21.
Whoa.
So like that's, you got years and years ahead of you. I have friends who didn't start making music until they were 25, until they were 30, and now they're touring. Well, not during coronavirus, but like touring and playing shows and like all this kind of stuff. So I'm really glad that you have that inclination to want to learn how to do music, because I think that would really use a different part of your brain. And at least in my experience, when I make music and then when I make art, I feel like they help each other. Like if I write a really awesome song, my art somehow levels up in that process, and vice versa. When I start working on art a lot and go back to music, I'm like, damn, I have like all this, like, it's like can't skip leg day sort of deal, Shirimbe asks, what is your favorite movie? I know you got good movie tastes.
Oh, gasp. My favorite movie? Oh, man. I love movies. That's really hard. I'd say, oh, man, that's really hard. Oh, my God. I say Interstellar.
That's a good one.
And Spider-Verse. Those are my top two. Oh, I like My Life as a Zucchini because it's really cool. That. It's like this. It's a French film, but they dubbed it to English, and it's stop motion. And I watched it. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a cute movie. My Life as a Zucchini, but it's like really sad. And I was like, oh, but I like it because it was so beautiful. And I'm like, whoa, I like when I watch weird movies that are on Netflix or on like a platform and are given backing, because I'm like, oh, I can like do what I want to do, and I'll like maybe like if it's good and well thought out, people will back it. And it inspires me. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, independent films.
Yeah.
Low budget films where like the creators aren't relying on this giant sum of Hollywood money, and they just have to stretch their creativity to like make stuff happen. That's really cool to see for sure. You have to show me that zucchini film sometime. That sounds cool.
It's good.
Is it also, an older movie?
Whiplash. No, it's pretty new.
Pretty new? Cool. Lexi says, I'm planning to get into the crypto art medium. I have my price with commissions established, but I'm new at NFT and I'm afraid to be charging too much. Can you guys help me?
I feel like your price is your price. If that's your commission price, I don't know. I say stick to you and what you would do, like regardless.
Yeah, I'd agree. Trust your gut, know your worth, and other people, I think, will see that worth if you put it out there. And I think what's really important, Carter Bliss says, don't undervalue yourself. Agreed. It can be scary, right. Like putting, like it can be scary, and it's just one of those things that you gotta know your worth, and you know your worth, so other people can see your worth. If you rely on other people judging your worth, then I think that's a mistake, and that's gonna cause more problems than solutions there. And I think the biggest thing, at least right now with the NFT space, is like make friends, like be active on Discords and Twitters, not in like a marketing spammy way, but in be yourself. I think this is one of the few places on the internet that being yourself is so appreciative. Like people Fewo, once again, I think that's one of the biggest things for your success and your growth in this space is people know who you are. People look at you and feel like they know you, because whether it's you're doing interviews like this, or it's your videos you're doing in your room, or just the way you express yourself with tweets, like you were saying, I think in Clubhouse yesterday, so many people are so calculated and like sound like a business or a corporation or some kind of agency or manager or something on the internet. And you were like, it's anyone can do that. Like anyone can learn how to, sound professional, but like you got to be yourself. That's the only way you're going to stand out and that people are actually going to connect with you, especially in a space with art. Like you're already being yourself when you make your art, hopefully. Like show that expression everything you do. And that's, I think, the best way to connect.
I agree 100%. Community is so important. Genuine community. And just making friends. Like you and me, we're homies. Like all this stuff is so important to just put yourself out there and don't force it. Just be you.
Yeah.
And
it
it
can
sounds
be
so
scary.
silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like, oh, be yourself. But for real, like, I can see a million of the same thing that's really technical. But if you're just like, this is me, like, I'm going to tell you about me or whatever, like, oh, I've never seen this before because how else would I? You're the only you. I'm interested. Let me learn more. So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And it could be scary, like putting yourself out there. Like I saw Fuo with all of your videos that you were doing, and I said, "That's so cool! Like I want to do that." And I've always been camera shy, like my whole life. I think because I was worried people would judge me over, like, maybe the way I talk or the way I look or the things I say or my laugh or like all these things that, like, just my little self-conscious thoughts that bubble up. And it's like it takes courage to just like be like, this is me, like,
Yeah.
for everybody to see. And because you don't have any fallbacks if people don't like it, which never happens when you be yourself, unless if you're like a horrible person, I guess. but like more often than not, like you will be rewarded for being yourself. And like, but it's scary because you don't have this fallback of like, like you have to look at yourself in the mirror and be like honest with yourself in those situations. But yeah, I think being yourself is something that the universe, the community, your soul will thank you for.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's been like an hour.
An hour?
Yeah.
What did we talk about? That's crazy.
All sorts of stuff. Is there anything you want to add to this? Any parting words for the people? Words of motivation, words of friendship.
I wish I was better at coming up with really like smart things to say. But for real, be yourself. Just do it. And if you're nervous about it, just do it. I feel like when I'm nervous about a video or something, and I like my first videos, and I was too afraid to post it. It's like, well, this is my life. Like I'm gonna live forever as me, and I'm stuck with me. So like, why would I spend my life trying to pretend to be something else? Like, I don't want to be 100. Okay, I don't want to die earlier, but like, let's say I die at 100 or something. I don't want to die and be like, damn, I spent my whole life being someone else. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd rather just be me. And if I'm annoying because I laugh too loud or I talk too fast or whatever, then it is what it is. I'm happy I was me. So for you, follow your dreams. If anyone's mean to you about art, don't listen to them at all. Make the art you want to make.
They hate us because they ain't us.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I think that was one of my favorite spotlights I've done so far, and always a pleasure kicking it with you, Fuo. That was great. You're the best. Thanks.
You're the best.
Thanks for everything you do.
Everybody.
Thanks for showing up to the community and being such an awesome example of what can happen when you follow your dreams.
Yay.
Until next time, everybody.
Bye-bye. Have a lovely day.